What's up, Star Trek fans? Welcome to Star Trek Late Night. It's probably more early morning for most of us at this point. Picard, episode 6 of Picard season 3 is a banger. All right? You got, I love the whole thing so far. I got to just tell you really quickly, I've enjoyed the whole thing. It's been kind of amazing that it's been this good. I want to remind you to go to terrytrek.com and sign that signature. It's at about 10,000 signatures now. They have made wonderful stuff. The writers have saved Star Trek for me. I can't believe it. This is absolutely insane. It's really good. Is it perfect? No, but is it really good? It's really good. Vatic starts this episode off with this just rant. She goes on a big, over the top villain rant at the beginning, which, I do love. You know what I mean? I do appreciate a nice villain rant, which Vatic delivers. So, very cool. Over the top, yes, but loved it. Then we sort of we get Beverly talking to Picard, and this is sort of surprising because we were trying to figure out what's wrong with Jack, and then all of a sudden, Beverly's like, hey, it's aromatic syndrome. He's got the same aromatic syndrome that you had when you were little and the same whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're going there. Jack has aromatic syndrome. I don't believe this 100%. That's all it was. He's getting all these visions and getting all these things. I don't believe that. There is either his aromatic syndrome is it's like a red herring or something. It's basically like you're supposed to think that. Either Beverly knows something up. Maybe there's not something up with Beverly, but it just feels like Beverly knows this. Maybe she doesn't know it. But either way, something else is going on besides that, it feels like. But it's interesting that they went that way. And so you're like, oh, okay, well, that's what it is. He's got aromatic syndrome. And then he goes and meets with Picard and Jack talk about aromatic syndrome and what's going on. And he's kind of down and maybe depressed or worried or whatever. He's having a drink in the bar, 10 forward. Picard has a drink too, and then it gets announced that they're here. Worf is here, and Worf shows up with Raffi, and it's like a nice little reunion. I thought it was cool. There was a joke in there that I didn't understand. I don't remember it now, but it was something awkward. But I enjoyed the banter. It was so cool to see everybody back together again. So far, like Worf, like this is just I don't know. It's like so cool that I can't even I'm like giddy seeing these people back on screen together. It's so weird. I'm like a schoolgirl, man, or whatever that means now. I don't even know what that means now. But Worf was fire here. I hope he gets a little more sentimental with everybody. He's very cold, still like I am Worf. But I'd love him to be a little more. There's still that in the movies. Worf is always so like nothing. Like Worf is just like Captain. I sense this and that, and that's about it in the movies. So I hope we get a little more of that sort of Worf, like. And maybe we don't, because this is kind of like a movie too. But in the series, Worf opened up a little more. Do you remember that? He just seemed to, and I just feel like Worf is there's a little more human to Worf than we could get because he wasn't like that in the movies. In the movies, he was very stoic, and I am Worf, and I do things in the movie, and that's it. But in the TV show, there was a more connected character. For instance, when he sees Riker and meets a Riker in this episode, it'd be nice if one of the first things he said is, "How's Deanna?" Or like, it's been a while, and how's Deanna? And it'd be nice if he asked that at some point. Now, maybe he doesn't ask that because we don't want to bring up Deanna because we don't want you really thinking about Deanna because Deanna's going to be kind of, you know what I mean, important at the end of this episode, obviously. But whatever. But so this is nice. And then we sit around a table. Love it. Star Trek style. Got the conference room table. We talking about Daystrom. We're gonna go to Daystrom. They think they stole something, and this is where they figure out that they stole something else. We knew this. What is it? What is Daystrom? And we get a background on the security of Daystrom. I think it would be. Now their whole thing is that Daystrom is run by an AI and that sort of thing, and that's cool. I almost wish there was still guards there though, because it just feels crazy that it's just all run by an AI, and that's it. It would have been cool if there was a minimal security force, and they had been able to have to defeat the security force to get through, and then now it's just them and the AI, because maybe security forces are switched every 3 to 6 hours, so they've got some time before the next security crew arrives or whatever. I don't know. But whatever, that's such a small, stupid nitpick of nothing. Like, whatever. Anyway, the whole thing's run by AI. You don't need security. It's run by fucking AI. That's the whole point. So, it's fine. We get some good stuff. I love that Picard says something about burgle. He's like, we'll have to burgle our way. And, Riker's like, excellent use of the word burgle. I part of me feels like that was like a little out of place and overuse of comedy. Like, we didn't really need that. Like, but I don't know. I liked it anyway. I did like it. And then we're going to go on the away mission, and the funny thing here happens because Raffi and Seven obviously are broken up, and Worf thinks they're all going, and Seven says, "Oh, I'm staying here," and then Worf is like, "Oh, thank God." He's like we're on my home world, like, breakups end in bloodshed. And I don't know, Worf is great. And we're getting Raffi, Worf, and Riker. And this is where Worf says the line, "Oh, I'm now a pacifist." And Riker's like, "We're all going to die." And that joke doubles up later, because later on that joke doubles up because they're inside the place. And I think Worf says something like, I don't remember exactly what happens now, and I'm not going to figure it out because I don't care. But the bottom line is, like, Riker's like, how are we going to get past this and that? And Worf is like, we will use the swift breeze of the eagle. So, like, he just says something, like, monk-like. And Riker goes, I don't know what's real anymore. Like, I don't even know what this life is anymore, or something like that. It's really funny, whatever it is. F it. I'm going to find the clip because it's funny. Oh, and I was right somewhat. In my video from weeks ago, I said that maybe it's the Genesis project that they steal, or that got stolen. Whatever happened to that? And there it is, the Genesis project. So that's kind of funny. I thought that they were gonna steal lore or B4, and I thought that they were gonna steal. Maybe it could be the Genesis project. So 2 out of the 3 things. And the third thing was that it was a mystery weapon that we've never heard about before. So it wasn't that, but I was pretty on the other 2 things. Kind of funny. So when we saw the Genesis project, I went, yeah, fuck yeah, that's fucking great. Because, like, that's all I could think about was that's got to be where that is. So that was kind of cool. And by the way, I'm still going to find that line. I don't know. It was Worf said something like, we will fly easy. Like, we will not be prey. We will be one with the world, or something like that. And Riker goes, I don't even understand the world anymore. That's what he said. I don't know. It was really funny. Riker's like, I don't even understand the world anymore. I thought that was really funny. I don't know how long it's been since Riker and Worf have seen each other. I would hope it wasn't too long. And listen, in all good things, they all hadn't seen each other, a lot of them, in a while. In fact, it's funny because think about this. In all good things, Geordi and Picard, I think, hadn't really seen each other that recently, but they've been the most recent to have seen each other, I think, except for maybe Data. So, but obviously Data ends up dying in the real timeline, and other things happen in the real timeline. But the bottom line is, in all good things, Geordi and Data are probably the closest to Picard. He hadn't really seen Worf in a while. He hadn't seen Beverly since their breakup. That's somewhat similar if you think about that. And so this really does kind of fall along that lines. So I think that's pretty cool. So now they figure out the AI activates itself, and there it is. It's Moriarty. We've all been wondering, where is he? People have guessed this by now with the setup of everything that's going on. We got to go to Daystrom. Something's in Daystrom. Everybody pretty much guessed, oh, that's the trailer. And so people got it, that it was like, oh, yeah, that's Moriarty, and he's the AI. A lot of people kind of figured that out. And then everybody figured it out so much that everybody else basically believed it after they didn't figure it out, so they figured it out through other people figuring it out. There'll be some criticism here, I think, from some people that will say, that's it? That was all it was? Well, of course that's all it was. You know what I mean? Moriarty. And by the way, the actor himself literally did like a Facebook Live or something like weeks after doing it or something like that, like not that long after doing this. And he talked about being on the show and basically kind of like, it was like, all right, well, that means he's in the show barely. Like, he's like, so like, he kind of gave some things away that, but no, I thought it was great. Some people are like, they're going to, the real haters of the show still, and there's not many, most people love this show at this point, either love it or they're liking it. But some people that are going to detract, they're going to be like, oh, another member very of, but it's like, listen, you're going to make the AI something. And we don't even really know if I don't even think we really know if Moriarty is the AI. He's just appearing as a projection through data, B4 lore, and whatever. And we're going to get to that in a minute because there's a lot to talk about there. And boy, did we know this from the start that this was how this was going, because whenever I wrote my fan fiction Star Trek, and whenever I did a lot of it, I never released it anywhere, but I just did it on my own. Whenever I created stories in my head about how Data would come back, of course it revolved around B4 accepting the programming. But one of the things that I wrote a long time ago, and maybe there's even other people that wrote the same thing, because I don't really read the Star Trek novels, but I always had this idea that that there was another Soong android, and I don't know how. I don't even remember where Alton Soong is from, the son, I guess, of Dr. Soong. I don't remember that. I don't even remember. But I basically had something like that, and they found a body that was another Data that was, and it was made by Soong, but he hadn't hadn't really finished it at all. But it was more advanced, and he had never gotten to finish it, and they found it, that sort of thing, and then they combined B4 into it, and when they did that, it was able to function, but it wasn't quite Data yet, and it took a while for it to come back and whatever. And then they needed lore in order to like mix him or something like that. So like this is kind of in the wheelhouse of what I was thinking anyway. So I found that to be amazing. We'll get to that in a minute, but this scene is unbelievable, and I have edited together a sort of a tribute to Data that I don't know if I'll ever really be able to release it based on copyright situation, but I will try and see if I can release it somewhere. It's 4 minutes long, and I think it's very nice, and it ties in with this, almost like Data's end, a reflection, and then a rebirth type of thing. It is amazing. I think I love it. It's like tears me up a little bit. I edited it all together. I don't know where I can release it, but I might link it on Twitter or something like that. Once the episode airs and everything goes through, because it's I don't want to put it out now because people are going to be seeing the episode over the next couple of days, and I don't want to be giving away things for the people that can't quite see it, right away. That's why my thumbnail even will probably be a little bit underwhelming compared to what you could really put some crazy shit on the thumbnail of this video, but I'm not going to, just for the people that would happen to catch it. I mean, I know that, hey, the second this airs, boom, it should go out there, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to sort of stay away from that. But anyway, I love this scene. I love that it seems like it's the next scene too. The shot of the space museum. I mean, it seems kind of ridiculous that there's a space museum in some ways, but in other ways, it seems perfectly makes a lot of sense. I love it. What a beautiful looking Starbase museum. I mean, they're going to need a lot more rings, though, right? They're going to need a lot more spaces. But can you imagine touring around this? And it makes me wonder that we've seen all these ships and all these things here. Is the Enterprise D here? Has some nerd looked through this yet to see if they could see the Enterprise D? Because that would be pretty awesome. And there's a spot right there for there's nobody there. What's supposed to be there? What if that could be where the Enterprise F is going? I don't know. But what if the Enterprise D is coming back and we're going to put that on the museum? And I don't know, bro. I mean, I don't know. Would that would mean that they recovered it, restored it, and built a battle bridge section for rebuilt. Like they had to rebuild the whole thing just to have it in a museum. That's interesting that you wouldn't just have the saucer part that they recovered, and whatever. But anyway, I'll take it no matter what it is, because some of these ships were beat up, and yet they're restored here. So physically, I don't know why you do it, but I don't care. It's fucking awesome. So that was really cool. And now we get Geordi, and thankfully, we were really concerned about this for a while. We saw Geordi, and he was angry looking, and he was like, "Oh, I'm upset at you, Picard." And I was like, "Oh no," but Geordi is only grumpy really for a second, and then Geordi comes over, beams over, gives Beverly a hug and everybody, and he's Geordi. And he has some actual grievances and some, pushback against Picard with, I don't know, Jean-Luc, this blah, blah, and his kids. And that was what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to be mad at Picard for putting his kids in danger for some reason. And that's kind of what it was. Although he wasn't as mad as he seemed. In the trailers, he seemed like he was fucking furious. But he luckily isn't that furious. And so thank God, because that's not in his character to me, really. He was so much his character. He was argumentative a little bit about it, come on. But he was still Geordi. I was so happy. I was so worried that Geordi was going to be antagonistic almost for some reason, and it was going to be ridiculous. And luckily that's not what it was at all. This was so Geordi. It was great to see. The only thing missing is the visor, obviously, but he didn't have those in the movies. I know it's gone away. It's just I love that visor, man. That must have stunk to always wear that, though. Every episode, 7 seasons, wearing that visor, doing your don't it must. I don't know, man. Great chemistry and interactions between these two characters. This was great. I loved what the kids did. The so-called kids. Did in this episode. It really made them seem valuable and exciting, and you're like, shit, I would watch these guys do something. So Sydney and Jack, great here. I enjoyed that. And while that was going on, Jean-Luc is having his little conversation with Geordi, which is great. That's a great scene. And then we cut back to the Daystrom Institute. Here comes Moriarty after them with a gun. It's real. He's going to, whatever. And then all of a sudden, notes start playing. And Riker goes, F sharp? And I'm like, oh, music. And it wasn't until the third note that I went, oh, my God, because I forgot. I saw the notes Um, I saw the notes in the credits, and the first time I saw the credits, I immediately was like, oh. And I figured out the song. I figured out the song right away. It was like almost right away. I was like, oh, I was like, it's gonna be that. So once I heard it, third note here, I was like, you know. So I immediately was like, oh yeah, that's Data. I'm like, okay, so that's Data. That's the scene from Farpoint where Riker meets Data. Um, well, that does bother me. Do you consider yourself superior? I am superior, sir, in many ways, but I would gladly give it all up to be human. Nice to meet you, Pinocchio. It's a great line. And obviously, at the end of Nemesis, after Data dies, and Riker says, everyone's crying and sad, and Riker looks around and he tries to pick everybody up. And he says, first time I saw Data, he was on the holodeck leaning up against a tree trying to whistle this tune and couldn't get the tune right. And then he said, what was that song? They're zooming in on Picard, and Riker's going, what was that song? Can't remember the song, But he remembers it here. And so that all was tying in. And once they cut to the footsteps on the rock, when they cut to Riker stepping on that stone, and I immediately knew what was coming, bro. Dude, I got problems right now. I'm doing a review, and I'm a grown man. What's going on? But bro, I was like, whoa, this is wild. So, and then Riker finishes off, the whole thing, and you know what's coming now. You know what I mean? And it seems like Data recognized them, and Data, I think they even mentioned this, and I might have forgot that Data, or before Data lore, soon new android. By the way, Frakes gave this away where they did that New York Comic-Con thing, and Frakes goes, or Beta, no, Frakes didn't. I'm sorry, Frakes did not give it away. I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry, Frakes. He's out there. Brent Spiner kind of gave it away. It's not that Brent Spiner. They kind of all gave it away in a way, because Brent was like, well, who am I playing really? Is it B4, lore, Data? And Frakes is like, you're playing lore. Oh yeah, lore. Yes, lore. Before lore, Data be lore or whatever. And then Frakes is like, you can tell that they're like, fuck, what are you doing? I think but the funny thing is, if Frakes hadn't have said anything, that actually would have been very ambiguous. Brent was like, well, who am I really playing? I don't know. Am I B4, lore? I don't even know anymore. If he had just sort of said that and then they just kind of moved on without saying anything, I don't think as much would have been made out of it. But because Frakes was like, you're playing lore, and he was like, yes, that's right, okay. That's what made you go, whoa, like Frakes is like jumping on him. So there was that sort of whatever. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. But what I'm trying to say is the people that speculated that based off of that and other things, they were right. Everybody was right. But this was a wonderful scene. I didn't see it coming in this episode at this point. I thought we were going to get Moriarty and he was going to chase them off, and they were going to find out that Lore was taken. I thought that's what was going to happen. So that's not what happened. I can't say enough about this scene. It's a memorable scene I'll never forget. It was so beautifully done. I loved it. Uh, yeah, it was just it was really a treat. I had to it was just I was just stone faced staring at the TV, like I could not stop looking. Plus, with Moriarty kind of talking through Data, so Moriarty is like sort of it's Data could make anybody or Data before Lore whoever could project anybody, to be the defender of the building as AI. It is a little archaic that you you would allow a android thing to protect the building with the station with a a human being who would shoot a gun at people. Like it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like almost archaic. It's like basically it's like nowadays going into a vault and the security system is guillotine like or something. I don't know. It's very weird. But yeah, when I saw the rocks, ooh boy, I saw Riker stepping on those rocks from back in the day. Farpoint. Oh my god, bro. They didn't alter the video at all, really. I mean, they did do widescreen or 16:9, which is cool. In fact, they could have done 16:9 for a lot of TNG, but a lot of it wasn't filmed that way. It was filmed in the 4:3 aspect, so they thought it's going on TV. So the boom mics and things are in the way, and the sets aren't lined up right for like I think it's something like 8 to 10% of the shots. The frame, so they would have to zoom in. A lot of times, they would have to zoom in order to scale it right, and then you would kind of get an altered version of TNG that is weird looking compared to the original. So I watch TNG every night, and it doesn't bother me in 4:3. I don't even think about it. But this scene they were able to make stretched, and so that was obviously being a flashback. They could have done whatever. They could have even altered what it looked like, but they didn't touch it really, other than scaling it up and making HD look. It just looked great. And then Worf says, "An old friend that blah blah blah." I mean, he could have just said Data, right? But that's not as climactic or whatever. Uh, so that was cool. And then they had an awesome moment where they look and they zoom in, and it's there he is. And what I like about this is, um, you have because Brent Spiner would always say like, oh, he could have a memory chip or whatever, a de-aging chip is what Brent always said. And this is so much more. This is better because, in a way, because it makes more sense because Data's already gone, and he built a new body, Alton Sung, and I assume he built an older body because it was to represent the Data or the B4 Lord Data hybrid new android is more experienced now. So it was to represent wisdom as opposed to, Data being childlike and Lore being evil and angry. And this was this balanced wisdom, and also probably after himself because he was older too. So that makes sense. And then you stick B4 into it and Lore into it and extract Data out of B4, all the memories of Data out of B4, and now you have this hybrid. And obviously, I don't know where we're going to go from here, but to me, it would seem that there will be this battle of Lore, B4, and Data inside the android, the new android. And what you hope to happen is for, maybe Data to become dominant and them to be able to, X out Lore and for him to really be Data. And I would love, I hope, I don't know if they do the scene, but I mean, it would be cool if at some point, Data was able to take over fully, which is what I would write, and Data was able to sort of say, like, I because he doesn't know that he sacrificed himself yet. I don't think. I don't think he does. Unless he does. I don't think he does though. Unless Alton Soon told him. But you'd like to hear him like, you sacrificed yourself for all of us and blew up the scimitar, and that's how we got out of that. And he's like, well, technically, and you could say, well, technically, Captain, then I'm actually dead. Like I'm me, but I'm a copy of me. And technically the actual Data is dead, and I'm a copy of Data. Like, maybe that realization would be kind of cool to hear. And Picard would say something like, "But you're still Data. You're just a copy. You're just the one that didn't die. That sort of thing." And I don't know how I feel about that, because it is weird to think about it, because it's not the original. It's still not the real Data. Still did die, and that Data is dead. But this is also really Data, because it's an exact copy. He's just missed the part of the sacrifice, I guess. So it's an interesting conundrum or whatever about that. So anyway, we're droning on too much about that. The cool thing is, all that really matters though is Data Lore B4, whatever it is back, and we'll see where it goes from here. Or maybe Lore and Data will fight and they'll blow each other up. I mean, I don't know what will happen. We'll get Data dying for a third time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But either way, this was really good and really emotional. And we're only 24 minutes in at this point. 7 of 9 and Jack have a phenomenal conversation on the bridge. Phenomenal. I don't even want to get into it because this video is already going to be too long, but they had a great conversation in which Jack realized, like, we could cloak. That's where it snaps off. But the conversation's so cool. I love the interaction with Seven and Jack here. Man, I thought this convo was cool. And then we got to see all the other Kirks start the Enterprise. We got to see friggin' Voyager. We got the bounty, or the HMS Bounty. I can't even fucking talk right now. I'm freaking out already. And so all these cool ships, and they're going over everything, and we see Voyager. They play the Voyager theme, and oh my God, I nut in my pants. And then I loved it. What a perfect way to be able to hit these little, like, in the feels moments, but without being gratuitous, in some ways. I love it. I don't care what anybody says. This shit is great. It's just what we needed, I think. We find out more about Data Lore B4, soon android guy, from Alton Soon himself, who's like, I put this golem in. It's very weird. It's just so weird. Creepy haircut, Alton Soon, just like almost like the Wizard of Oz or the Magic Man or something like that. This fucking guy, like, into the golem will go. It's so ridiculous. It actually had flashbacks to Picard season 1 and 2. I was like, ugh. Just hearing Alton Soon talks make me think like, ugh, Picard season 1, ugh. But I like it, and you get a lot of info, a bit of an info dump here, which is fine because I needed the info dump. And Geordi doesn't want to help because, his daughters are in danger then and all that sort of thing. And his daughter's like, Sydney's like, I want to help. God damn it, Dad. And the other sisters, I want to help too. By the way, the sisters meet. We didn't talk about that. I thought LeVar Burton's daughter did a great job, right? I think she's starting to be an actress now or something like that. So she did a great job. I bought her, and she really is his daughter. So she did a good job. I can tell that Sydney is the more, has the bigger part, obviously, and is the more tenured actress, I guess. But they both did a good job. I mean, they really, LeVar's actual daughter did a great job. And it's cool that that's his real daughter acting as his daughter. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. And so good scenes there. Love the conference room stuff. The stuff with Shaw was kind of cool. He's like geeking out with Geordi a little bit, and Geordi's like, "I'd geek out with you too, but we got all this shit to do." Anyway, no, I'm not helping, and I'm out of there. And then he ends up having to help because basically the Jack and Sydney and them later steal the cloaking device, and I love that. Geordi's like, "Do you have any idea how many treaties this violates, Admiral?" And Picard's like, "I didn't do it," But this part is funny here because he's like, do you know what type of trouble we could get into or whatever? I forget what it is in what order, but Picard goes, "I guess they'll just have to add it to my tab." Like it's like, and dude, I actually cracked up laughing at that. I don't know why, man. I'm not that easy to please, I swear to God, but I started laughing at that shit when he said, "I guess they'll just have to add it to my tab." Like, it was the way Picard said it, dude. Patrick Stewart delivered the line. He's still, like, it's funny because Picard now, there are times where he doesn't seem like Picard. He seems more like this soft-spoken, elegant old guy. "I guess they'll just have to add it to my tab." It's like, but back in the day, Picard was just so much more like, "Well, they can add it to my tab," like he would be more forceful. But he's older now, and if you watch All Good Things, he's a little bit like his All Good Things older self. His older self was a little more like wily, like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing, Will, damn it," like, and that's kind of what, you know what I mean, like, pretty good. But yeah, so I love that. I guess they'll just have to add it to my tab. They ended up putting that in the trailer for the preview for this week's show. Good call there. Then the securities found them, and Riker's like, "We can't beam out of here because they had to leave." Because Picard knew that they had the museum, that he could get help from Geordi, and potentially that they had a cloaking device. So Picard knew, the museum, we can use a cloaked ship or a cloaking device. I think he knew that. That's why he wanted to go to the museum. But then Geordi shut it down, and he didn't know what to do. And then Jack and the kids just said, "Fuck it, we're taking it." Like, we're going to go just take it. Like, duh. And so that's funny. So I believe that was the plan from the beginning for Picard, but I don't know. Then the security's there, and they need help. They need to get out of there with Data Lore B4 robot guy. And the Titan can't get there yet because they're held up. So finally, Sydney and everybody grab all the crap, steal all the stuff. They mess it up, but Geordi's there to fix it, so then they get it done. And then they show up, and they are able to rescue Data Lore B4, Soon Robot, and Raffi and Worf, but Riker gets captured. I love Riker's like, "I got this." And then Riker is fucking going Han Solo on everybody. And then they shoot him with a transport inhibitor or something like that, and they take Riker. And then they get the hell out of there, and then they get time to sit and revive Data Lore B4. So this is really crazy and cool. And we hear for a few seconds Data. I actually hear Data. Brent Spiner does a great job of, like, man, he snaps right back into it. For a few seconds, he's like, "Captain Geordi." Like, he sounds just like Data. He doesn't quite look like Data because it's a new body and an older body, and he doesn't have as much silver makeup. I think if they had maybe silver makeup up to him a little more, that could have been better, but it might not have looked very good on him because it's harder to get that makeup on older skin. So maybe he looked freaky, so they didn't want to do that. Or maybe they just thought, hey, let's not make him suffer in all that makeup since he's older, and we don't have to do that because we can do whatever we want because this is a new body that Alton Soon made. So I like it that it somewhat has that silver tint, and he's got the eyes, and that's good. And Brent does an amazing job of going from, I mean, how many times did we see Brent Spiner get to play multiple characters? Plus, in the episode Masks, it's very reminiscent of Masks, where he would be like, I'm an old man. Masaka is coming. And then then he'd just snap into another character. He would just snap into like fucking 5 different characters. And he loves doing that. Or maybe he now hates doing that because Star Trek has made him do that a ton. But he does a great job of man, it's crazy. I know that it shouldn't be amazing, but it's amazing to hear lore. Because even when he's playing a menacing character, I find Brent Spiner to be amazing at this, because when he plays a lore-like character in Picard Season 2, he basically plays a lore type of character. That guy and lore don't sound the same. Lore has a little bit more of like a wide smile and some kind of like scarier tone. He played a dickhead in Season 2, but Lore has this different taint to him, cadence, and he just boom snaps right into that cadence, and then right into a Data cadence, and then into a B4 cadence. It is so good. It's actually kind of crazy to see it. Like, I can recognize immediately in 2 seconds. Like, and it's not just that you can recognize it, it's that is it. So, very well done by Brent Spiner, I think. One thing I don't get, I don't know if there's a criticism or a nitpick or what do you want to call this, but in a scene right before they go to revive Data, there's a scene where, like, I don't know, like Worf or something. Yeah, Worf is with Picard. And this threw me off, but Worf is with Picard, and Worf says, "Don't worry, Admiral, I will bring William Riker home." And then Picard is like, "I know you will, Mr. Worf." And it's like, cool. Okay, Worf is like, "I will bring William Riker home. I know you will, Mr. Worf. Good luck." And then Worf walks out. And I'm like, oh shit, Worf is leaving? Worf is leaving to go find Riker. That's crazy. But then, literally, like 3 minutes later, they're all standing around Data, Lore B4, reviving him, and Worf's there. And when Data starts malfunctioning and stuff, Worf is like, "Is there a reset switch?" or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, Worf? I thought Worf left. So I'm either assuming 2 different things. First of all, my headcanon just basically says that Worf is just telling Picard, "I will find Riker. Don't worry about it. I will bring him home." And Picard's like, "I know you will." And then they all go into the other room. And Worf is leaving soon, but he hasn't left yet. And that's all it is. That's all it is. Worf just hasn't left yet. But that other scene made it seem like Worf was leaving. Like, it didn't, you know what I mean? But Worf had to be here in this scene, so it's either an oversight that they forgot, like, oh yeah, Worf is saying goodbye there, kind of, but now he's got to be in this scene. Oh well. Or it really was supposed to be this way, and it just was a little confusing to me. So I did think that. But I didn't notice it the first watch, so it was only on the second watch that I was like, wait a minute. Why is Worf there? I thought he was saying goodbye to Picard that he was leaving. Now he's there? I'm confused. So it's not a big deal. It really isn't. If it was a mistake, then it still was fine, because, again, it just makes you think, oh, he hasn't left yet, but he's still leaving. He just had a few more minutes to go over there and see what they were doing with Data, Lore before. And then the big mystery, here it is. They're like, can you please tell us what was stolen from Daystrom? And then Data Lore before, or Data in this case, projects on the screen what it was. And I was actually shocked about this. I was like, what the fuck? It's Picard. It's Picard? why did Picard's body get brought to the Daystrom Institute? Because I was like, yeah, why would Picard's body be at the Daystrom Institute? I mean, he died. And then Kirk is there too. So like I remember thinking that too. I mean, Kirk was there, I believe. Why is Kirk's remains like or whatever in the Daystrom Institute? That's so weird. And why is Picard's? And the other weird thing about that is everybody gets to see Jean-Luc naked as a shriveled up dead person. So I don't know what's going on here. There are many things that this could mean, and I don't think I like any of them. So like I'm just gonna wait and find out what happens because I'm like, did they steal his body because they need his DNA for some kind of cloning? Did they steal his body so they could put a clone of him in charge of something? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of things I thought of the other day, but now they're escaping me, and I don't care. And I'll get to that in a separate video at a separate time later on. Then when Riker is captured, it's revealed that it's Vadic. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I got you now." I love Riker. He's such a dick. He's like, "I'm not telling you shit," that sort of thing. "I'm not telling you guys shit." And they're punching him and shit. And then he's like, "You think after 35 years I'm gonna tell on my friends or I'm gonna give them up or something like that?" I don't. And then she's like, "I wouldn't do that for you." And then Vadic's like, "Oh, it's not for me," or something like that. And then I'm like, "Oh fuck, they got Deanna." I knew it right away when she said that. I went, "Oh no, that's what it is. They got Deanna." So there's all bloodied up Riker, and I'm surprised they didn't get his daughter too. I mean, why didn't you get the daughter? And it's revealed that it's Deanna, and so there she is. And what a way to cliffhang this episode. So, this episode was packed full of stuff. And boy, now is that Deanna? My question was, what if she's a changeling? You know what I mean? And they're messing with him. So all they had to do was look her up and clone her. They didn't have to go really abduct her. They could have just changelinged her. So I had a theory that maybe Deanna would die this season. And a lot of people think that because Marina Sirtis doesn't want to act anymore, and all that sort of thing. It's why she's barely in the show, I think, so far. And, so a good way to fake people out would be not for her to really die, but for you to think she dies. And in the end, that was just a changeling anyway. So you can kind of kill her and then bring her back in the end because you think she's dead, but she's not. That's what I would do. I don't know if that's what they do. They probably do something better because all the ideas that I come up with, I'm like, I think that's a pretty good idea. And then this show typically so far has done things better. I'm like, damn, that's what you want, right? Whenever I'm mad at something or I'm angry at something, it's always because I'm like, I had a better idea. But this show, so far, a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, everything is like, damn, that's better than my idea. Damn, that's really good. I'm glad these people are in charge, which is what you want. So this is really good stuff so far. I like it. So is that really Deanna or not? I don't know. But it probably is, but we'll see. That's my guess. Those are my predictions in my review of episode 6. I think it's hard to say. I'm starting to have trouble with rating the episodes. But one thing I'll say is that there are awesome moments in every episode. I feel like in every episode there's these awesome moments. Or at least in almost all of them there's awesome moments. where it's like, wow, I could watch that scene over and over again. It's such a great scene. I don't know what it is, but if you didn't have these really epic scenes, you would still have a good show, right? Like the show would still be good, like 6 or 7 out of 10 good, but there's these scenes that are just unbelievably good. That just like it's like wow. Like I think I can't even remember everything now. I have to go through episode by episode, but the bottom line is like episode 2 has these moments. The ship cutting off the beam, and the end where Picard and Beverly stare at each other and they have that back and forth. And then Picard says, "Shields up, lock it down." Like, and he just takes over and he's Picard again. And it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. That whole scene. I don't remember in the 3rd episode what that moment was, but there's something there too. The 4th episode, when the jellyfish are going everywhere, and when Picard has the remembrance of Jack at the bar, and like Starfleet was the only family I ever needed. Like that scene is like, what? The jellyfish throwing the rock at Vatic. Like there's all these like moments of like boom. And so that's kind of like an action sequence that was just fun. But I mean, there's these scenes. You have that in episode 5, you have that kind of with Ro and Picard. They're back and forth is really good. And also Ro's kind of sacrifice. But those are more of a downer. But I mean, this episode is loaded. I mean, with the whole realization of Moriarty and Data with Riker is a fucking scene that is beautiful. I think the Jack and Seven of Nine's conversation, and then the Voyager theme and that sort of thing is a fun moment that hits me a bit. I like all the little moments with Riker and Worf, and then obviously seeing Data talk again for the first time, and then the reveal. I mean, there's just these little pockets everywhere in this that spike it up into a higher rating for me. The detail, the payoffs, the villain so far, there's layers upon layers of stuff kind of going on. Things are starting to fall together a little bit here. We still don't understand what the hell's up with Jack, kind of, I think, but is it aromatic syndrome, I guess? And then I think, doesn't Data say something about that too, by the way? He says something about the aromatic syndrome, doesn't he? I don't know. I'm not really sure about that. But I do know that, it's explained that Jack's aromatic syndrome is the cause of all these flashbacks and things going on. But I don't know. Is that what it is, or is it like this a cover up for something else? I don't know what's going on. But the other thing is there was something I was going to say about the Picard and his remains and whatever. A lot of people were saying, when this season was out and a lot of people had seen the season already, reviewers, they were saying things like, "Oh, don't worry, the whole Picard being a robot thing doesn't matter that much." But they do bring it up a lot. And now they're really showing you he's a robot by being like, "Look, here's his remains. Remember, he's a robot." So they're playing into it a lot more than I thought they were gonna. I thought they weren't gonna touch on him being a robot at all, aside from like 1 or 2 jokes. And so far, we've gotten 2 jokes about it. And now we're seeing his body, and so now that's really bringing that up. So I think they've mentioned it 3 times, actually. So 3 times they've mentioned it. Riker mentioned it once. Jack mentioned it just this episode, I think. And Vatic mentioned it. And now they're showing Picard's human remains. So it's like they're really using the whole fact that he's a robot. So that's caught me off guard a bit. I did not expect that, especially based on all the reviewers that were like, "Don't worry, it's not a factor," and they just ignore it basically. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're not ignoring it to me. Like they're really going in on it. That's not a problem though, because I like how they're using this. I like this. I would say they just basically deal with it and it's not a big deal, and if anything, it makes it better that that's the case somehow. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say that they're ignoring it because they're not really. Like, I don't know how people could have said that, but it is part of the story, actually. But it's done very well so far, because I don't hate any of it. I'm like, interesting. Like, I'm actually interested. So anyway, I got to get out of here. This review's been an hour long. Have you stayed to watch this whole review? I doubt it. And if you have, write hashtag Riker666 in the chat. Just for no reason, Riker666. That's weird, but I don't know. People will be reading the comments and they'll be like, what the hell is that about? This is Star Trek Late Night, and I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. What did you think about this episode? Please leave me a like if you want to support me financially. That'd be cool, because this channel is not monetized yet. PayPal.me/Joe Cronin Show. PayPal.me/Joe Cronin Show. And just keep watching my videos. Share this video everywhere. Tell all your friends, family, and Star Trek peeps. Oh, fuck, I said peeps. You just unsubbed. But anyway, subscribe. Tell all your friends. And we'll have more videos coming out this week about what I think could be coming up in episode 7. And then we got after this, we got 4 more. Man, I'll tell you what. Oh, man, I never want it to end. It's weird. I want it to end. Come back to me. I want it to end so I can get the complete idea of the story and I can get to it and figure it out. And we can have that, yes. And then I can rewatch the whole thing again. But there is going to be that realization where, like, oh, shit, it's over. Because this has been, so far, unless things go to hell somehow, so far this has been a joy. And a great ride. And we'll see what happens. Next time, I'll see you guys.